Hey everyone, so today we are going to cover nested map, which is a very important topic from the trigger point of view. Once we actually start the trigger questions, we will see that uh, how these maps will help us. Okay, so the intention of today's session is to make you comfortable with maps so that when we actually start triggers, you will be comfortable with that. Okay. Now, maps more than me, it will be on you to make yourself comfortable because the more you practice on map, the more you will be able to understand them. The more you will be able to realize how powerful they are and how much they can help us. Okay, so on our last session, we did a scenario where we created a map of account and opportunity ID. Okay, let me check that. Yeah, so we created a map of not that it is account rate already, whatever. I think we created a map of something like this where it was ID on the key side and honey, ID on the key side and on the value side there was list of opportunity and we called it account to opportunity map, something like that. Okay, today we are going to create a map where we will have ID on the key side and on the value side we will have another map. Inside that we will have ID on the key side and list of opportunity line items on the value side. Okay, so it will be account to opportunity line item map. We will have to do something like that. Okay. Let's not do it in the anonymous block. Let's create a class. Let's create a method for that. So in the constructor class itself, let me create a method for it. Okay. So let me make it public static void nested map. And inside that, we will do whatever we want to do. Okay. All right. So let's assume we will have to create the map of account versus other things. So we will get accounts as an input. Okay. So ideally we will get accounts here, but for simplicity, I am going to query it here directly. We are not going to do any scenario. Let's assume that we have a scenario where we have to where we'll have to create a map where on the key side we will have account ID and on the value side we will have another map which will have opportunity ID on the key side and opportunity line item as a list on the value side. Okay, that is the scenario. Okay, let me write it down. Create, sorry, let me write it down. Create a map of account ID and on the value side we will have another map which will have our opportunity ID on the key side and opportunity line items on the value side as a list. Okay, so essentially we will have to create something like this map ID, comma. Inside that we will have another map which will have ID and then it will have a list of opportunity line item. We can call it account to OLI map. Okay. Here we will have new. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Okay, Hardik, is it clear now? Okay. Come on, guys. You'll have to tell me if it is clear or not. Otherwise, it will be difficult. Okay. Perfect. So let's say we have got the list of, ideally we will get the list of account here as an input parameter, but for simplicity, I'm going to query the accounts as well. Okay. So this will be our input list of account, and we'll call it account list. And you can query it here. Select ID from account. Okay. Simple. Now, this is what we have. This is what we have got from the scenario. We will have a list of account and then we will have to create a map like this. Okay. So from account, we cannot directly go to opportunity line item. Okay. So what we need to do here in this step is let's get the list of opportunity from the accounts. Okay. So let me create a list of opportunity. I'll write the code and then I will explain. Okay. We will call it, let's say, opportunity list. And we can get it like select ID, account ID from opportunity where account ID in account list. Okay. So this is how we will get the list of opportunity ID. List of opportunity IDs, or we can say list of opportunities. Now, if you see this map, you can see that inside the map, we have an inner map. Okay, so our first step will be to form this inner map. Okay, because without this inner map, we cannot directly create the outer map. Okay, so we will have to first try to find a way to create this inner map, which is the association between opportunity and opportunity line item. Once we get this map, then it will be easier for us to form the outer map as well. Okay, so in this step, I'm going to first get the list of opportunity line item. And we will again query it, select ID, opportunity ID from opportunity line item where opportunity ID in list. Okay. So now we have got the list of opportunity line item as well. Now what I'm going to do, I will have a loop over opportunity line item so that I can put value in this map. Okay, the same way we have created in the last session as well. Okay, so I'm going to have a loop on current line. Okay, I will have a loop over this opportunity list and then I will add the value in it. So in order to create the inner map, let us also create a map which will have this association. Okay. And let me name it opportunity to OLI map. Okay. Okay. Now, how do we put a value in a map? we last time we did it, right? So what I'm going to do, we will check if this map dot contains key is opportunity ID. Okay, so current OLI dot opportunity ID. If it already contains that, then what we need to do? We need to get this opportunity ID and then add value in the opportunity line item list. Okay. Else, we will just put the value in this map. Okay, so we will just put the value. Here we will create the new list because list has not been created yet. And we will put the current OLI in it. Let me try to save this. What is saying? Just a second. So you have created a map, current OLI contains key current OLI and opportunity ID. Same way. Hmm. So we have not written if, right? If. So without if, it will not work. Yeah, so what we did here is that we looped over opportunity line item and we checked if this map opportunity to OLI map contains current OLI dot opportunity ID. If it already contains, then what we need to do, we need to get that particular opportunity ID and add the item in the list because list has already been created because it has already traversed over this opportunity. If not, then we will just add the opportunity ID and create the new list and add the current opportunity line item. That's how we will get the map of opportunity to OLI. Okay. And once we get that, then the next step is we will have to loop over opportunity. Okay, because opportunity is the association between opportunity line item and account. Opportunity line items are not directly connected with account. So opportunity is is you can say the midpoint between account and opportunity line item. We will have a loop over opportunity and we will see how we can put the value in the main map. Okay, so let me now have a loop on opportunity. We already have opportunity list, so that will not be an issue for us. Now here, be with me, okay? We will have an if statement here, which will check if our main map, account to overlay map, contains the account ID. Because here on the key side, we will have the account ID, right? So if it contains the account ID, if it contains the account ID, then we will have to just put the value. Okay, let me just write it down first and then explain it to you guys. Okay,
Contains key.
Yeah, this is key, right? So we will have get it because it contains, that means it is already there. So we will have to just get it and then put the value on the inner map. Okay, so on the inner map, what we have opportunity ID as a key and list of opportunity line item as a value. So how do we get the list of opportunity item as a value? By dot get opportunity dot ID. So what we did here, we checked if account to OLI map already contains account ID. That means we have already traversed over this account, this opportunity and account. And in that case, if it already contains account ID, then we will get the account ID so that we can get the value side of it. And on the value side, we have a map. So this time we will not use add because add is a list method. Here we will have to put a value on the map. So for map, we will use put. Okay. And on the, once we put on the value side, what we have a map. So the map has a key as an opportunity ID. So we provided opportunity ID, and on the value we have the list of opportunity line item. So how we will get the list of opportunity line item? We already have map where on the key side we have the opportunity ID and on the value side we have list of opportunity line item. So if we provide the key here, then we will get the value as a opportunity line item list. That's what we did here. Okay, so that's how we have added the value here. Else, if it does not contain the account ID, if this main map, account to ally map, does not contains the upper account ID, that means we will have to put a fresh entry. Okay. And in order to put the fresh entry, how we can do that? We will do it like this. Okay. Then in that case, we need not to get anything. We will have to directly put value there. And putting value there, we will have the account ID on the key side. So that is the easy part, opportunity dot account ID. And on the value side, we again have a map. Okay. So how we are gonna do that? We will create a new map here. Okay. And on the map, we have ID, comma, list of opportunity line item. Okay. And we will come out, we will put the value like this, opportunity dot ID, and then we will have to use this map to get the list of it. Okay. So what we did here, let's revise this loop again. Okay, what we did here is that we have created a loop on opportunity and we checked if our main map, account to ally map, contains the account ID. That means we have already iterated over it. Okay, and see this. See, just a second. 9:40.
Contains key. Key नहीं लिखा है मैं. Just contains.
Okay, okay, got it, got it. Yeah. So if our map, main map already contains this account ID, then we will get that account ID and then put the value on the value side. And on the value side, what we have? We have opportunity ID as a key and list of opportunity line item as a value. So now you can see in this loop how this other map which we created earlier is helping us, right? This map is helping us. Otherwise, it would have been very easy. A new person I don't see Hardik is saying that can we explain it with the diagram? I don't think there is anything to be explained by diagram, to be very frank. I don't think this is a simple, straightforward scenario. I don't think that any diagram is required here. Had it been required, I would have explained already. If you are not sure about the relationship between account opportunity and opportunity line item, then you should come prepared for that because I have already told that I am going to cover this in this today's session. Okay. I don't think there is any need for the diagram and it's a straightforward scenario. Okay, we will have much tougher scenarios later on. Okay. And if you have any doubt, then please speak up, Hardik. Then I might be able to understand what you are not able to understand. Okay. If you will not speak, I'll not be able to understand. All right. This is what we did. We have created a map where we checked if it already contains account ID, then we will get the account ID and put the value. Otherwise, we will directly put it. And how we directly put it is you need to figure it out like this. Okay. So you will have to practice it as well. Now we will see, okay, if it is actually working or not, because we have written code, okay, and this code is not giving us any error, but that does not mean that it will be giving us the value. So for that, let us debug this as well. Okay. So we will pass an account which will have both account opportunity and opportunity line item. So let us create an account which has both. Because I don't think this is the new org. I don't think this will have any account which will have both. Oh, I think this is new dashboard or something like this. Okay, let's go to account. Okay, now here we have opportunity. Let us take any opportunity. It does not have any product, so let us add products. Okay. This is how we create the opportunity line items, guys, from the UI. One way, right? Not the only way. Now let us check if let's check if we have data or not. Okay. So let's query it. Select ID from item. Mhm. Yeah, so this opportunity has three opportunity line item and this opportunity also has a account. Okay, so let me pass this account ID in the input of our code. So if I pass this account where ID equals to this, then we should get the proper data of map between account opportunity and opportunity line item. Okay. See, sometimes we'll have, when we'll have to debug and we'll have to find out where the problem is, we will have to use debug statements on every place where we feel that data could be coming or could not be coming. So I am going to be very basic approach where I will put debug statements everywhere wherever I feel that data should come. So if opportunity, if account list will display data, then that means we are getting accounts. Then the next step will be to put the debug on opportunity list. Okay. Now, if we are getting the opportunities as well, then that means it should also get data on the OLI list. Okay, so next step will be to put the debug on OLI list. And here, make sure you remove all the debug statement before pushing your code to the higher environment. Now, if OLI list also has data, then that means this map will be fine. This map will be iterate over correct data. And in that case, this map opportunity to OLI map should also have a proper data. So let's put a map there as well. Okay. I mean, we could have done directly as well, but let's try to debug this as well. Now, if everything is fine, then that means our main map, which is accounts to OLI map, should also get the data. Okay, so let's see that. We have put a lot of debug statements. Now let's see if it is working or not. And we have passed the account ID. So now if I go to debug and try to run this, there is nothing to pass. Let's execute. Let's see. Okay. Start with the beginning. We have got the account list. Based on account, we had two opportunities. So we have got two opportunities. Based on that, we had opportunity line items. So we have got the opportunity line items, three opportunity line items. And then based on opportunity to ally map, we have got that map as well. And then later on, if you see the last, this is account ID, this is opportunity ID, and then this is opportunity line item. So we have got the map of account to opportunity line item. That this is just one, but in the real scenarios, in the real orgs, you will have a lot of data because we have a limited data. We have just passed one account, we are able to get it, but the logic remains same. Okay, and this code, if you see that we are not doing any SQL query inside the loop, we are not doing anything which is against the standards of Apex programming. Otherwise, we could have done a loop on account and then have searched the opportunity inside the loop and then might have searched the opportunity line item inside the opportunity loop. We could have nested loops and we could have SQL queries inside the loop as well. Okay, so we have avoided both by using the map. Okay, so that's pretty much about the nested map. Anyone has any doubt on this? And I want you guys to practice this. Okay, this is, see, whatever I have written, this is not that you will be able to do this on your first attempt. You will have a lot of doubt that why we created this map, why we created this opportunity to align map. Okay, why have we created, why we have got the list of opportunity. So you will have a lot of doubt in this when you actually try to do it on your own. Okay, and that is completely okay, because once you're comfortable with this, it will be very easy for you to write triggers and optimize triggers. Okay, writing trigger is not that difficult, but optimizing that and thinking ways to optimize that is sometimes a bit complex. Okay, so I hope you guys will also practice this on your own, and it is completely okay if you are stuck somewhere on the map. If it is completely okay if you feel that why we did this, why we did that, it is completely okay. But What is not okay is that you do not get the answer of that, why you did that. So whenever you have questions like that, try to find the answers of that. Try to ask questions in the group, try to ask questions to me directly, try to ask questions here as well, and we will solve those questions as a group. Okay, so anyone has any question on this, guys? Yes, Manjunath, go ahead.
Can we use a instead of using this I mean just for optimizing, can we
Mhm.
go with a single SQL with the
Yes, 100% we can do that. I have just created it so that I'll not confuse this group further. We can further optimize it. We can do the inner queries in the opportunity to get the opportunity line items. Okay, that is
mm,
completely okay. And then we can have directly a loop inside the opportunity line item. So that is 100% possible. Okay.
okay, okay.
All right. And once people understand this, then they will obviously come up with their own ways to do this. And that is also completely okay. I have done it in the simplified manner so that everybody will be able to understand this and everybody will be able to practice this on their own as well. So let me also copy this and put it on chat. Oh, that is too long. Let me put it on WhatsApp. I just want you guys to practice this on your own, so don't copy it. Uh, just practice this on your own because that will be an important thing to do. When I learned maps, it was a bit tricky to me, and this was not coming to me naturally. That is why I want you guys to be absolutely very careful with this concept. So, okay, and if you are able to understand this, then that's a good thing. Okay, and we will see why we use it, why we are focusing a lot on maps, because when we actually do triggers, and those who have written the complex trigger knows that the importance of maps. Okay, so when we actually write the complex triggers from tomorrow onwards, you will see that the magic of maps. Okay, ideally, whatever code we have written, a normal person who is not aware about maps, how we gonna do that is he will have a list of account, right? So he will loop through it. Account A is equals to all accounts. Let's say we have all accounts, and then he will get the list of opportunity. All opportunity equals to, and here he will query the select ID from opportunity where ID account ID, or he can get one opportunity by just getting one opportunity. So what I want to show is that he will have a loop inside loop, and here he can have a loop on opportunity. And then inside the opportunity loop, he will query the opportunity line item, and then he will have a loop on opportunity line item. And then he will try to put the value in the map. So we will have multiple nested loops if someone is not aware about maps. Even if we do not create this inner map, it will be difficult for us to put value in this map, because this map has helped us here when we actually try to put the value. Otherwise, it will be a bit difficult, and you might have to do a inner loop. Inside this, we might have to do a loop on opportunity line item as well to put the value in the inner map. That's we solved by having another map here. Okay, so there will be scenario where we'll be creating a lot of maps in our Apex classes as well. Okay, and I will show you once we end this class, I will show you in the real use cases as well that how maps help us in the real scenarios as well. Okay, so try to practice this on your own today, and I want everybody to be comfortable with the maps, because once you are, then we will be able to easily write complex triggers. Okay, that's was the intention of today's class. Now let's Keywords. Few of the keywords I want to cover before actually starting triggers. Okay, so we will use Epic's developer guide to see the keywords. These are the keywords, and I want to cover all of them. Does it impact the code performance or limits if we don't remove the system.debugs? Okay, system.debugs does not gets counted towards the total number of line we have, and it will also not be counted towards the line when we write the test classes. So it will not have any performance related problem. But obviously, if you have written something inside the system.debug, compiler has to do the calculations, and that calculation will have a CPU time uses. That calculation might utilize your resources as well. So obviously, if you have a lot of debug statements, that will also not be a good thing for the performance. Okay, so don't write system.debugs, because whatever you have written inside that debug, let's say if it is calculating something or if it is displaying something, that particular variable will get counted. Okay, and there will be some CPU utilization in the backend happening. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, and in the production or system.debugs, like there might be a company who will have rules not to have system.debugs in the production, because that looks really bad. So for that point of view also, you'll have to remove that. Yes, Manjunath, go ahead.
Can you help me with the output of that? I mean, structure of that output of this,
Is
the code, map, map, map
Yeah,
example.
I have shared in the group, right?
No, not the code. I just need the output structure.
Yeah, here it is.
Can
If
you
you,
copy paste that? Is
yeah,
it feasible? Because in one interview, I got in such a way that they given me the structure. They asked me to build the code for that.
okay. Mm, got it. I have shared it on the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
We can build it from there as well. It's just that sometimes in the directly when they ask in the interview, we get confused.
No, I got their point. They wants to know our basics, how far strong it is,
Uh-huh,
the
uh-huh.
structure.
Right, right, right. Got it, got it, got it. Okay. Hmm. So it's an object. Inside that, it's an object where there is a string on the key and the list on the value side, array on the value side. So yeah, from there you can build on, do some processing on your own, and then you will be able to do that. If not, we can cover that. Okay. Okay. All right. Nice. Okay. So when do we use final keyword? Anybody wants to take that? There is a very basic question sometimes they ask is that how do you make constant in Apex? Okay. So yes, Manjunath, go ahead.
Sorry, good. I just want to give, I mean, whatever I used in a real time, I thought to explain that. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Tell. This is
Okay.
important.
Uh, Final keywords are like like constant kind of a keywords which we, I mean, in our use case where we keep a separate file where will not touch or we will not change those values. It's a kind of static. So
Mm-hmm.
from that file, we will import into our wherever we want. So all the constant keywords we will place at one file and we will import. It's like a, what is it, that helper class or whatever.
Mm-hmm. See,
So
whenever we write the test classes as well, we will have a lot of utility classes which will have to use these the constants, right? The
correct.
let's say the opportunity stages. You have created a utility class where you'll have opportunity stages as a constant value. So let's say you'll have to use the close one stage, then you will not write it hard coded close one. You will get that constant from your utility class and use it. Whenever we will have to make something as a constant in Apex, we use the final keyword. Okay, that's not the question. What questions they ask is, sir, see, simple question is how do you make constant in Apex? And many new people or people who are not comfortable with the basics, they will get stuck here. uh, Interviewer will try to take them by saying, see, other languages has const keyword, like JavaScript has const. Okay, so you can use const and then define the variable name. and the value you provide will become the constant. But what do we do in Apex to make a variable constant? And those who are not aware about the final keyword, they will get stuck here. Okay, so they will not be able to answer. So we use final keyword to make a variable constant. Okay, now the follow-up question comes here is that because they will say that whosoever knows final will say that we'll have to use static and final to make a variable constant, then they will say what is the need of static here, like why can't we just make it with a final? So that is the follow-up question sometimes people get. Okay, so static do what? Static basically make sure that the thing is or whatever you are putting static keyword as becomes the class level variable or method. It is not dependent on the instance of it. Okay, so why we use static? To make a particular variable or a particular method as a class level method. Okay, it will not be dependent on the instance of it, and that's the reason we use static along with the final. Final itself is able to make a variable constant, but if we just use final, then that will only be constant for that particular instance. It will not be final for the whole class. It will not be constant for the whole class. So to make it available throughout the whole class and constant throughout the whole class, we use static as well. Otherwise, if we just use final, it will only be constant for that particular instance. We'll create another instance and we can assign another value to it if we will not use the static along with it. Okay. So remember that. Okay. One line I want you guys to see here is that final variables can only be assigned a value once, either when you declare a variable or inside a constructor. You must assign a value to it in one of these two places. If you will not assign the value, you might get an error. So if I create a, let's say, public final my name variable. So it is saying either you assign a value here or in the constructor, but you will not be able to assign the value anywhere else to the final, final variables. Okay. Final variables can only be assigned a value once, obviously, because we are making them constant. Obviously, why will we assign values to them later on? Either when you declare a variable or inside a construct, you must assign a value to it one of these two places. यहाँ इन्हीं दोनों places में we'll have to assign the value. Static final variables can be changed in the static initialization code or where defined. Obviously, we will be able to change the value in the initialization code. Member final variable can be changed. Member final variable means those who are not static. Okay. So the follow-up question which we had was, can we, is it necessary for us to use static in along with the final? No. If we will not use it, then they will become the member final variable. That means they will only be constant for that particular instance. Okay. And here we say that to define a constant, make a variable as both static and constant, then it will become the constant for throughout the class. Non-final static variables are used to communicate state at the class level, okay, such as state between. So you can say that non-final static, yeah, that is a different thing. Methods and classes are final. Yeah, this is very important. Methods and classes are final by default. You cannot use the final keyword in the declaration of a class or a method. So sometimes they ask that final is a keyword. So why can't we use it in front of method? Right? Because methods are by default final. Okay, by default they are constant. We will not be able to change them. If we have to allow that anyone else will be able to override them, then we will have to use the virtual keyword. Okay. So they are by default final. There are not a lot of questions on the final keyword. It's just that couple of questions, and you should know that you make them constant by using final and static. Okay, then there is instance of keyword. Instance of keyword is used to get the instance of object. Okay, if you are not sure about which object you are currently working on, let's say you have created a lighting web components from where you will pass something to Apex, let's say an S object, okay, and you are not sure, and based on S object, let's say if it is account, then you will have to return account list. If it is contact, then you will have to return the contact list, but you are not sure which object you are getting from your lighting web component in your Apex class. Okay, so you can use the instance of to actually verify if it is account or contact or whatever it is. We can simply check it by a simple as object. Maybe let's say my object is equals to, let's say, new account. So if you are not sure which object your my object is, okay, because this as object in the left hand side. So if you just debug system.debug instance of my object dot instance of, right? Yeah, dot instance of. Okay, so we will write my object instance of account. So if it is instance of account, if my object is instance of account, then it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Okay.
It is a single keyboard.
Yeah, sorry. So if we execute this, it should return true. Yeah, because your my object is the instance of account, right? That's what we have done. If I write the instance of contact, then it will return false. Okay, so that is what instance of is called. Super keyword, we have already seen how we use super keyword when we did the polymorphism. So if you check our Mario class, if I want to access the ability method of the parent class, then I will have to use super, and then I will be able to access the ability method of Mario class. So that's when we use the super keyword. Okay. This keyword we have already used when we called the another constructor from our constructor, or when we assigned value in the parameterized constructor. So if we see the constructor example, here you have used the this keyword. Here also you have used the this keyword to call the parameterized constructor. So always remember it with the help of example, and try to explain as well in interviews with the help of example. Okay, that will be good thing. Transient keyword, see, when we assign a particular variable with a transient keyword, then that means that particular variable will not be saved. That means it will not be transmitted as a part of view state of a VF page. In VF page, we used to get a lot of view state errors. Okay, that was happening because there were so many variables which we were passing to that page. Okay, and so many variables we were passing, so that is why sometimes those variables are not required to be used by the servers. Okay, so if there is a variable which is not required by server, we can use the transient keyword to tell system that we do not have to pass this particular variable to the servers because it is not required for the processing on the server side. For that case, we used to transient keyword, but we do not use it anymore. I have not been using this keyword a lot after I stopped working on VF pages. Now, this is very important. With sharing, without sharing, and inherited sharing. Okay. First thing you need to understand it, with sharing, without sharing, and inherited sharing, they will not enforce field level or object level security. They only enforce the record level security. Okay, so they are mostly associated with just the record level security. They will not ensure FLS. They will not ensure access on object. Okay, they will only ensure the record level security. Okay, that is something you will never get confused about. Okay, even if interviewer tries his best, you will not get confused about this. Now, with sharing, if I annotate a class with sharing keyword, then that means that sharing settings will be enforced. So whatever, let's say we are querying an account inside that class, then if I have access to view that account, then only I will be able to view that account. Let's say I have written a class public with sharing class, and inside that I have queried all the accounts. Okay, so let's say we have 1,000 accounts. I will only be able to access those accounts which I have visibility on. Okay, so if out of those 1,000 account I am only able to see 500 accounts, then this query will only display as 500 account. It will not give us 1,000 account because it will it will respect the sharing settings. It will respect the sharing access available on that particular object. But if I use the without sharing, then it will run in a system context, and it will not respect any sharing. Even if I'm not allowed to see a particular account, then also we will get the that account as a return if we are using without sharing. But given the fact that I have permission on account object to view the account, to maybe edit the account, but I should have object level permissions, otherwise I will not be able to. Okay, so this only does the record level security. Now
Yeah,
comes.
Mohit, I have one doubt.
Mhm.
Like you told that if with sharing keywords, so we only able to see those which are visible to me. I mean, if you write a code, right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see some of the code there will be use user mode access
That is
level.
that is different. That is different. That we will cover in the field level security part. Don't worry about it. That is
Okay, okay.
that is bit different, and you can, yeah, that is to ensure the object and field permission. So if you go to this link, you will be able to see that user mode and couple of other things as well. Okay, so that is object level lags, and that is new thing we have Apex has created. Okay, that is a new thing. User mode and with security enforced, without security enforced. That is a new thing. We will talk about that as well. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, third one is inherited sharing. Okay. So ideally we do not get normal questions directly on this, but let us go to the definition of it. Use the inherited sharing keyword when declaring a class to enforce the sharing rule of the class that calls it. Okay, so what it is saying is that if we use the inherited sharing keyword, then it will it will be called in the context of any other class which is calling this class. Okay, using inherited sharing is an advanced technique to determine the sharing mode at runtime and design Apex classes that can run either with sharing and without sharing. Okay. So what it is trying to say is when we use inherited sharing, then we are not explicitly telling that it is either with sharing or without sharing. Whichever class calls this class which has been annotated with inherited sharing, it depends on which class is calling it. If a with sharing class is calling this class, then it will run in the with sharing context. If a without sharing class is calling this class, then it will run in the without sharing context. Okay, so we have not statically defined whether this class is with sharing or without sharing. We will be dynamically determining if the class will be called in the with sharing context or without sharing context, depending on which class is calling this. Okay. Now, there are multiple questions which will come from this topic, like if the outer class is with sharing, if the inner class is without sharing, what will be the sharing context of the inner class? What will be the sharing context of outer class? Okay, so inner class does not inherit the sharing context of outer class. So let's say if outer class is with sharing and if inner class is without sharing, then inner class will run in the without sharing context only. But if let's say outer class is without sharing and inner class is with sharing, then the whole class will run in the with sharing context. Okay, that's the one thing. Now, let's say another class is calling a class. Okay, and this class is written in the with sharing and other classes are written in the without sharing. Now, without sharing class is calling a with sharing class. Okay, so what will happen to the method written inside the with sharing class, which is your which is your called class, not the calling class. So if a method will run in the with sharing or without sharing depends on where that method is written rather than where that which class is calling that method. Okay, I will explain this in detail, don't worry about it. There will be a written question on it, we have that question. So if I show you those questions, it will clear those doubts. Okay, let's not do a rush on that. Let's do them by questions only, which we will go through in the next session. Okay, not this other one. So we will cover the questions here in the next session on the yes. Yeah, so we have a lot of questions on fundamentals and we have almost covered all the fundamental concepts. So it is a good time for us to go through all these questions. Can we access modifiers in trigger, default access modifier for Apex class? Can a class have multiple constructor? If a class with sharing in method of another class with without sharing, what will happen? Okay, we will cover all these questions tomorrow and then we will go through the triggers after that. Okay, so let's do these basic questions first because these are the fundamentals of Apex question. We have almost covered all the fundamentals. So now let us go through these questions and try to figure it out all the answers as well. Okay. So that's what I'll be doing. If you guys have any fundamental questions or any questions related to fundamentals of Apex, make sure you add it on this sheet, Apex interview questions. Okay.
Put this side.
Perfect. And we will go through all these questions, but if you guys add your own questions as well, then we will go through them as well.
Hello, Mohit.
Hey, hi.
Yeah, Pooja this side. Mohit, I have a request.